We've reached a point of full-on absurdity in college football. One positive, reportedly, at Missouri has led due to contact tracing to the Missouri-Georgia game not being able to be played. Two positives at Texas A&M has led them not to be able to travel to Knoxville to play against Tennessee. We've also seen Mississippi State and Auburn and LSU and Alabama postpone. Now, the SEC was smart enough to start their season early in September, so they still have the ability to play games on December 12th as well as December 19th. The December 19th game wouldn't be able to include, for instance, Florida and Alabama, but they could still play all of the other games. Here is the larger contextual absurdity. Contact tracing makes no sense whatsoever. It is a flawed system for a virus that is not endangering college athletes in any way. Moreover, you now sometimes end up with people who never test positive being out longer than people who test positive. Let me walk you down the primrose path of absurdity here. Okay, student A tests positive for the coronavirus. If he is able to not test positive, he's only out for 10 days. Everyone who was in close contact, however, to that player has to be out for 14 days. So it's better if you are testing positive than if you are in close proximity to someone who tests positive. How does that make any sense at all? Moreover, especially now that we have the data and we know that most close contacts never test positive, why in the world are we treating positive test cases as if it is a death sentence for a football team? So far, we have not had a single instance in the world of the virus transmitting during games, okay? So we're not allowing people who are positive to play, and there's no transmission risk during a game so far anywhere in the world. We are way overreacting here when we are isolating and quarantining people close to guys who test positive, especially when the vast majority of those who test positive are asymptomatic and never have any issues at all. This is a broken response system. The average college football player is under more danger, and the average college athlete is under more danger from the seasonal flu than they are from COVID, okay? This doesn't make any sense at all. It's a broken system. The same thing now going on in the Big Ten, where they have even less flexibility. Let me give you an example here. Ohio State's game against Maryland was just canceled. That is, it will never be made up. Let me give you a scenario that could be in play here. If Indiana next week were not able to play against Ohio State, but then came back and won the rest of their games, Indiana would win the Big Ten East with a record of 7-0 potentially, while Ohio State going 6-0 would not be able to play in the Big Ten championship game. That's assuming, by the way, that Ohio State itself is not going to have issues going forward. This is a broken system, okay? The SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC are actually in pretty good shape because there's only 3 teams in the running in the college football playoff for the SEC, right? Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M. The Big 12 not going to have, unfortunately, probably any playoff teams at all, but the one they still have theoretically alive is Oklahoma State. The ACC is trending towards Notre Dame and Clemson playing in the ACC championship game. Those leagues have played enough games where they can crown a champion and not be afraid that they are missing 2 of the best teams to be able to play for the championship. If I'm a Buckeye fan right now, I'm getting nervous. Not only because of the absurd contact tracing madness that exists right now in college football, but because we're not that far from potentially losing out on an opportunity to play in the Big Ten East championship game, or even worse, not being able to play enough games to be able to qualify for the college football playoff. What's the bare minimum, by the way? I don't know the answer, But if you got teams playing 10 and 11 games and Ohio State plays 5 or 6, does that feel like it's fair to allow them to play for the championship? I don't know, but I do know that this is a broken system, and the Corona Bros being worried about positive test cases has actually led to an incredible, disastrous decision being made in college football. We shouldn't be fearing positive test cases. We should be quarantining people when they test positive. If somebody else tests positive, quarantine them too. We don't need to quarantine all of the close contacts of a college football player. It's a broken system. It's nonsensical.